Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you're watching this. This is Big Said. How's everyone doing today? I have a special guest, special guest. Goes by the name of 19 Keys. Pretty sure some of you know him. If not, you will know by the end of this conversation. He is definitely a global thought leader, a pioneer in the Web3 business mindset, holistic wealth. I hate reading off the stuff, so you have to excuse me. Podcast owner, author, basically any and everything that you can get your hands on, he's probably done. And I'm going to allow him to actually introduce himself and give a little background so that way I don't fumble my words as I'm talking. What's good, Keys?
Man, blessings. Great to be here, man. Uh, I'm always thinking about how to introduce myself.
No
People,
problem.
I get that question so often. What do you do? And I do what I'm called to do. And at the moment, what I'm called to do is, teach people into becoming, the higher level version of themselves, right? So we speak about high level thinking a lot, being more effective in all things that you do, from a mental component, spiritual, physical, right, and a technological shift as well. So as a speaker, right, a master teacher is the goal that I am working to become, and in the encompassing of that, as an author and as a person whose skill set span in many different industries, I consider myself overall to be a thought leader, someone who leads you into the right direction of thinking, right? And on top of that, of course, an entrepreneur who has built a family business where we have nootropics that really focus on enhancing brain activity, increasing memory, focus, right? Remineralizing the body, right? At the same time, we also, of course, have our show, High Level Conversations. And then we're now bringing in High Level Radio. So we're definitely in the media space, the creative agency space. So, there's a lot more that goes into it, but I'll just it sounds like I'm bragging if I go too long.
No, no, no. It's just a matter of that. If that's what you do, that's what you do. So, but I get it. I get it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
where exactly for like I said, for the few people that don't know who you are, where are you from?
Yes.
Your upbringing and things of that nature. Something brief so that way people can have an idea of basically who you are as a person as opposed to as an entity.
Yes, sir. Well, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, raised in Oakland, California. Right. I moved from St. Louis when I was two to Oakland, and in Oakland is probably where I had my most formative years of, consciousness, if you will, or intellect, or bringing me on, I would say the path that I am on right now. I grew up in a Black Muslim household who taught me self development, self awareness, self knowledge at an early age. So I've been on the path of learning that my whole life. Growing up in Oakland and St. Louis, going back and forth my whole life, you get in the streets, right? And in the streets, you catch cases, you go to jail, you get into a criminal element and lifestyle. And so it was a pathway of redirecting myself back onto, right, my foundation, right? And that foundation was being developing myself to a higher level and staying at a status with high level focus and high level thinking. And so, growing up in Oakland, I think it will probably, it was a super blessing because when you grow up in Oakland, you realize that Oakland is different from all other places. We have a unique history that sets us apart. And the people that develop from Oakland have a different level of awareness, regardless, right? If a person in the streets or if a person is a scholar, they're still aware of what it's like to really be Black and the history of Black America and the history of white America, right? And so that goes from the Black Panthers to other different movements that came through Oakland. It's considered to be the mecca of linguistics, or game as they call it. You understand me? And so learning there, if you can come through Oakland and go and spread that information in different places, you can thrive very well, right? And so I was blessed to have that revolutionary background and to experience it in that environment and to see it. And then at the same time be in the streets, and then at the same time having this love for learning and self-development and teaching others so that they won't get caught up in the same atmospheres or a condition that lead them down the wrong path. And so I'm a solution-based thinker in that particular regard. And I like to focus on solutions rather than problems.
Makes absolute sense. At what age did you what was it determined in your mind to go forward with your path?
I would say 19 years old, right? And that's not why I'm called 19 Keys, by the way, but it's synchronistic. At 19 years old, I had a case that I had caught. It was an assault case. Someone accused me of an assault. Now, I took it to trial and I beat it. So, I have a clear record and everything, right? Not guilty. But going through that case taught me so many lessons because during it, um, life seemed bleak, right? I was joking with my brother the other day. I said that was the oldest I've ever felt in my life, right? Like I've been young ever since then because at that particular moment, I didn't have any control over my future, right? The outcome was not my own. It was left up determined to these jurors and the judge and the evidence that was presented and my ability to be able to fight it and my faith that I had on my attorney, his ability to execute. And so going through that case, I decided to not allow, my fate to be in anybody else's hands. And with the knowledge that I gained during that time of learning the different books, learning the legal jargon, learning the strategies of how to apply that and help my lawyer, what he said was his first win. I don't know if he was joking to this day, beat that case. I decided to not look back. I decided that this was my path forward, that Allah, God, He gave me a second opportunity, you understand me, to move in the right direction. And ever since then, that's what I've been striving to do.
Gotcha. And I know with the, this being a new year, because everyone has the cliche, like, we're going to start over, or we're going to do better, or this is that and the other. I know that you have a focus on bringing to light the whole thing about artificial intelligence,
Yeah,
IA, because I know that that's a big thing now. And if it's not, it's about to be,
right.
based on, like, some of the things that I've come across, as well as just listening to, different things. I work in media, so I hear these things. But I know that's one of your big things now. So I guess we can go into discussion about that and your viewpoints, and where do you think, like why should we shift our attention to AI?
The reason, I've been talking about AI for probably the last 5 years, actively, on my own platform on YouTube. And when I first start talking about it is because, if I look at the focus of all the information, I study science, I study technology a lot. And I love technology. I love innovation. I love to see human progress, right? But at the same time, I look at how far behind we are at the 8 ball, right? As a people, as Black people in America, we're very far behind. And we're not the ones that are at the forefront building the technology. So we complain about lack of capital, lack of jobs, lack of political power, right? A lack of ownership and equity in the world. At the same time, when you see advancements like technology, those who are in the front is going to utilize this technology to stay in front, right? And at the same time, we talk about issues and problems. Then we say, well, is there now a technology that can help us solve this problem? Right? And are we still operating in the old spirit of complaining when there's new technology that is a solution? So, case in point, there was a generation that was born before social media, right? You were born before social media, I imagine,
Yes.
right? I
Yes.
was born before social media when you had to be outside, right? Learning was a different type of process. So, you would have to literally pick up an encyclopedia, right? You would have to go to the library. You have to walk there, catch the bus, or be dropped off and get a library card and check out a book, right? And actually learn that book and then take it back. This was a whole entire process. There was an earning into learning, right? So it was more rewarded and you appreciated the information because it had to be sought after in order to be gained, right? Especially, information that you went on for yourself. But now this is a generation who was born with social media, right? So they don't know what it's like to be without it, right? They only know what it's like to be with it. Just like there's a generation that was born with a Black president. They don't know the paradigm of growing up in a world where we never had a Black president. And so you looked at the political spectrum different than you do now, right? And so I think about that specifically because technology changes generations. It changes the world, right? It changes the way we do family, it changes the way we live life, changes the way we think specifically, right? And and when the social media era came about, it created opportunities for us to be able to generate our own media, right? There's a brother by the name of Country Wayne. He has a show. He's getting millions of views, right? Monthly, generating millions of dollars, all from his cell phone, right? Because he has a talent and he's utilizing the technology. There's no gatekeepers to stop him. There's nobody saying that, oh, we won't give you the budget or cut this or edit that. It's just him and his creative agency. And this might have been somebody that was once diagnosed with ADHD or considered a class clown or didn't get good grades, but those grades and those degrees matter not anymore, right? Because he's a success story that is now of the 1% in the world, right? And so then you get TikTok. TikTok is the platform of copycat, right? If you do what everybody else does, you get rewarded. So don't be creative. Don't think of your own thing, right? TikTok is all about following. So now I look at social media and I look at the ideas that are out there. Is everybody, number one, either confirming your bias, right? Believing any information, whether it's misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. These are different type of informations that get spread. Some that are false, some that is only there to confirm the biases of your beliefs. Some, people don't like to think for themselves. So I'm trying to see what your opinion is on something rather than actually understand it for myself, because the education system has messed up many people. And I know you asked about AI, but this all ties into the mindset of why. And so as we're moving, right, in different speeds of transference of information and technology, right, it changes how human beings interact with the world and interact with themselves. Cell phones means these are mini computers, not just cell phones. These are mini computers that we have in our hand. We call them cell phones, but the least amount of things we do on them now is talk or text.
That's true.
Right? We compute with these things daily. We read the news, media, right? We get our day and our influence and information is here. So when your head is down, right, hours within the day, and you're consuming and all of your attention is here, right? This is projecting and creating your reality, right? So this has an influence on how we spend our money, right? How we're going about doing family, relationships, how we think about ourselves, how we digest politics, the whole world. So now, on top of the internet, right, which has created many opportunities, many good and bad, now you throw in AI. At an age where people are over consuming information and it's causing mental exhaustion, right? Because, there's so much information, but people don't know how to think. So it's too many choices. So people are either making, no choice or a bad choice these days, right? And now we're at this point where the AI is saying that I'm going to take the thinking out of it now. Right? Instead of Googling something where you have to do research, when you go into a chat GPT or you go into an artificial intelligence program, you can say, hey, can you write me a book about becoming a better person? And the AI spits out a book. You can say, hey, can you write it in the language of, Einstein and Malcolm X? And the AI tries to duplicate that voice. Now you take that book and you go try to sell it and you go mark that off as your own brilliance. It required no thinking. But if you ever seen the movie Limitless, he took a pill where he became smarter. And the guy told him, he said, it works better if you're already smart. Right? Yeah. Now, this is what I believe is happening with AI is everybody's going to get access to essentially have the smartest thing in the world work for them. But do you have the ability to know what to tell it what to do? Right? Because their smart people are going to use it in a way to increase their effectiveness in business, in life, in research, in everything. But then there is a other percentage that is going to decrease their ability to think and research because they won't have to anymore. So now they don't even develop that process of what it's like to research information, to gain it, to develop that neural networking system. So, I like AI for its ability to, pull out the imagination, increase research, to level the playing field. But I realize that if we don't own it, it owns us.
Yes. And it's funny that you state that because I don't know how old you are, but I also used to do music. So I was a producer. Yeah. And I used to tell friends that nowadays you can literally just have a phone and you can actually record a track and have it on Spotify or Apple within 20 minutes after
Yeah.
recording it. I come from a time where you had to physically go out, you had to get so many different things, and it takes literally months to complete a song.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, doesn't that, and you've already touched up on it, but do you think that because of the steps that people don't have to take anymore when it comes to the aspects of AI, that will actually, as a society, become dumber? And when I say dumber, I don't mean dumb in the sense of not knowing, but like I said, eliminated those processes where I know that I appreciate my work more so because I knew the steps I had to take. But nowadays, I get one piece of equipment, and next thing you know, I'm battling with Jay-Z for a top spot on the Billboard charts.
Yeah. Well, that's that. You know that there are right now AI influencers that are making millions of dollars. Right? They got OnlyFans pages.
Wow.
Right? So you when you think about that, like we already are in competition with AI for jobs, right? Why would I hire a human being that I know is going to come with human error, may be late, I may have to go through consistent revisions, a multitude of different things, versus I can just type it in AI and AI does it. Now, the thing about that is, it's not so much that AI will replace your job. It's a human being using AI that will replace your
Yeah,
job. So
exactly.
now that one person can do the job of 10 people, right? So when you go see mass layoffs and things of that nature, it's not even because the boss don't like you, it's because they don't need you, right? It's not because they're not evil, it's because there's a technology that replaces that. This is a business and I want to increase profit and decrease overhead, right? But as you say, you know, what incentivizes the human being to use their brain if they have something else to do the thinking for them? So the mental development aspect disappears, right? And that's the dangerous thing because that is what makes us human beings,
Exactly.
right? Our ability to innovate, to create, to imagine, to produce, to execute, right? So there will be a lot of people who I believe who put a lot of their passion and their drive into their career. And when that career disappears, they're going to have to try to find a drive and a passion again, right? And that is what gives them purpose. And so human beings lost without purpose is a dangerous world. So we're going to go through the phase of the repurposing of human beings because human capital will not be worth as much, right? So there's going to be, I think, a phase of people who use it very creatively, like every invention, right? And then there's going to be some people who suffer, who become poor because of it. So, you know, there's two sides to it, but at the same time, if you feel like if the way I teach my students, if you're a high level being and you're a master of yourself, you're not afraid of anything because no matter what comes, we're going to use it to the best of our ability, and it's going to be a tool for us. We're not going to be a tool of it.
That makes sense. Now, I think as a matter of in our community, how
Mhm.
can we, if we're not doing it ourselves, how can we put ourselves in position to actually start taking advantage of AI in a way that helps us as opposed to just to get ahead of the competition?
Yeah, I would start thinking of it on how many different ways that you can utilize it in your business to enhance it, right? So, you know, think of it like this. If you got, like I said, it's like having the smartest people in the world work for you, right? But if you can't manage those people, you know, they're useless to you, right? So if you have a business right now, it's all about not what AI is, but how you can use AI because everybody's going to use it for different reasons, right? So let's say you sending out emails. One person can add an AI, write, you know, 100 email copies, right? And then they can create an automation where that AI is automatically sending those email out, generating leads, right? Then that AI is connected to, you know, an AI bot when those leads come in, is having conversations with the customer, generating sales, right? And then it's funneling them into an automated system, right? So you can utilize AI right now. There's software where while you're looking down reading something, the AI generates your face to look upward. So it actually looks like you're looking at the screen and paying attention to people, right? So that's going to be handy with news people, right? Creating prompts, right? So when you think about that, it's the same way of any iteration of technology. Social media. A lot of people did not want to conform to doing e-commerce business. When that came around, no, I'm gonna stick to my old school. I'm not doing the internet. You understand me? Now we see those same people. Everybody was forced to switch over because they realized they was holding on to those ideas for no reason. The reason you got into business was to make money.
Yeah.
So if there's a new tool that comes out that allows you to be more effective at making money and you don't use it, right? Then you just lazy and you stuck in your ways, right? And we calling that old fashioned or traditional, but it means nothing because your business will be squashed. So now I'm seeing AI leads. I'm seeing people create YouTube pages utilizing AI. This picture behind me was created utilizing AI through text prompts where you get the text in, type in a description of an image and it generates something. So the world gets to see what's inside their imagination. Nothing has to be left up to, oh, I need an artist to render this. No, you can type it in, the AI generates it, right? And then that AI gets to learn you and then it generates more. But like I said, the thing about it is I want people to think about this last part though. If everybody has AI, it's an equal playing field, right?
Yes.
So how do you get an up? You know what I'm saying? How do you get an up on everybody else? If I say, hey, AI, create me a business plan, right? Now, after you create the business plan, I want you to run ads for that business plan. I want you to buy the supplies. The AI got my credit card. It's allowed to do all those things for me. So it's just generating a business. Now, another person tells them to create the same exact business. Now they're in competition with each other. Which AI wins, right? So now we're going to the age of super AI, where some people have different versions of it. Some people have business AI, where it gives them increased access to more powerful versions of artificial intelligence, right? So we're going into AI wars where countries are using quantum computers, right, with artificial intelligence to fight against somebody else's AI because they're synthesizing information, collecting data, right? And then they're reapproaching those strategies based on that data collection, the way people are moving. And not only that, they're not just clocking human behavior, they're the ones generating human behavior. Yeah. Now, that's the most dangerous thing about this whole thing. Because it used to be, well, I want to learn consumer habits. Now they're creating the consumer habits, right? Through these new algorithms of what they're showing people and what they're generating and what they're curating. So it's a interesting thing to think about. And I definitely think that everybody should dabble into it and learn it now before it's too late.
I agree. Now, with anything else, because of course we've all watched horror movies and sci-fi movies, and there's always that one guy that gets his hands on the material that the world needs, and he wants to do nefarious things. Like, what do you think about the aspects of it? Either the technology either breaking down where we relied on it so much that we can't anymore, or the wrong type of people gain access to infiltrate other systems that use it.
I mean, I think all of that's going to happen. I think when human beings, that's the thing, all possibilities are on the table, right? Anything that can be used for power will be used for power. Yeah. Right? When the TV came about, the military realized that this is the most powerful tool for programming. They start putting in subliminal messages. They utilize it as a tool for recruitment for the army, right? They utilize it for programming within Hollywood, right? They realize like, yo, this is the most powerful thing we have, whether it's the radio, the TV, the internet, social media, AI, anything that can be used for power will be, right? So the tool is neutral in that sense. But also I want us to think about this. Most of the things that we know about AI when it comes to like a dystopian future is because some writer or director imagined that to be the outcome. Now, the one thing that Black people have not had the pleasure of is what would our imagination generate, right? And having that vision in our head, right? So AI came out of Africa, and there was an African Silicon Valley generating AI. Do you think that they would have generated a vision that was dystopian as far as the utilization of AI? Or they would have generated a better feeling curated around it, that we're going to utilize AI to help us ascend and create a better world and decrease poverty and cure all the illnesses in the world and things like the outlook of the future is better. So I think that what you have to think about is whose vision wins,
Yeah.
right? But if you have no vision, then you're stuck to go in the direction of the only vision that is the majority, which is the dystopian one. So we work for the more dominant vision in society that is programmed in the minds of the people. So I empower everybody to think about, right, your future with AI, right? Because the future is still left up to the whim. Nobody knows the future. You can try to plan it, but as they say, God is the best of planners.
Definitely. And I want to shift gears just a little because I know that with what you do, like you're versed in basically anything that's worldwide, so to speak. And I know that specifically with the economy and with finances, there's talk of a recession.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know your thoughts on that thinking, and if so, what should we do, or how should we prepare to handle a recession if it does come, or when it does come?
Yeah, well, recessions are cycles, right? The way that this economy has been set up is for a recession to happen, consistently. So, after this recession, there will be another one at some other point in time, right? It is guaranteed. That's the thing about this economic cycle. Everything in life is cycles, right? As people prepare for a new year, what do they start doing? They start making new plans and new goals. And I always tell people that before, you have to think about it. Like, we're coming up on a Chinese New Year. They have their own cycle, right? We're in the winter. We're still going through winter cycle, even though you calling it a new year. But even though New Year's really don't start to spring come when new life comes, right? And I say that because when you think about economically, there are cycles where things are booming, then they have a rest period, then they come back up, right? And it resets to a normal. Bubbles are necessary for that reason. So recessions aren't things to be scared of. Recessions are things to be prepared for, right? So during that season, it's the greatest opportunity for people to build wealth, right?
Yeah.
When everybody else is scared, what was Warren Buffett said? When there's blood in the streets, be greedy, right? That's the opportunity for you to readjust your portfolio, right? I was talking to my brother Wall Street Trap, and he was explaining how during this season, the economy does not reward growth. So you may see companies growing, jumping into AI, but you might not see they stop going up,
Yeah.
right? But when the economy does reward growth, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, if you're buying it low, right, and they start getting rewarded, now you have the opportunity to build wealth. Now you can double your money, triple your money, or get 10, 20, 30, 40%. So during times of contraction, you think expansion. At the same time, you want to go on the offense, right? You want to decrease spending in the unnecessary areas, right? And you want to increase it in the necessary areas, right? So if I'm a business owner, number one, I always look at, what are your margins for everything? And how can you change to where you're decreasing the products that are not your best seller, and you start to focus on only your best ones. And then during times where things are going bad, think how you can expand your market. Because this will happen. Your competition is not good in sales right now. They may start decreasing their stock, their inventory. So now they're not having it on hand. So what do? You swoop up and say, hey, we still in business. We still doing good. So now you get to take a market share from competition. Any unnecessary spending, you cut it out, right? Whether it's traveling, whether it's going out, you can't cut out food, you can't cut out education. Those are the two things you're going to need. You can't cut out your lights because you need to see at the house. So you got to pay those bills. But when you're talking lifestyle, you want to have some cash on reserve. You want to have some savings on deck, at least for 6 months out. So therefore, you're not as worried and you're not operating from a place of fear, but you're going on the offense and you're saying that, okay, on the opposite side of this, if I'm employing money in the market while it's down right now, so if I'm taking, 20% of my pay and I'm putting it in the market on stocks that I know will work, or I'm reinvesting that into my company. When the market pops back up, guess what? That money is now working for you. Now you're getting a 20, 30, 40, 50% return on that when the money re-enters the market. When money leaves the market, where does it go? All money that leaves the market, it got to re-enter the market, right? So you seeing right now, Bitcoin, it jumps up to like 21,000. There was some news that came from the Department of Justice on a crackdown from crypto. It went down like 3%. That money left the market. People got scared. Then they found out that the news wasn't real. The money re-enters the market. Now, if you would have bought while the money left the market, right? As soon as the money re-enter the market, you can sell to those people. So you buying it at $10, right? While everybody else, they bought it at 20, right? And then you sell it to them and you doubling your money. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
So for me, it's all about, make more money than you spend, buy low, sell high, have a strategy. Do not go in there blind and hope it's not a strategy. So if you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business that will win.
That's true. What other gems can you bless us with? Like I stated, because it's the start of the year, and I think just traditionally we just think that way. When I say we, of course, I mean just people in general, where we feel like at the top of the year is when we're supposed to do the things that's going to make us either happy or productive or progressive throughout the years. So what would you say to that, to people that is looking for that type of advice and suggestions?
I would say do not make goals, make habits, right? Most people create goals, but they're not the person with the habit to meet that goal. Right now, you can have the habits of $30,000 a year, but you have the goal to make $1 million. But you don't have $1 million habits, right? So this is the beautiful thing about it. When you're around people that influence you, right? Because peer pressure can be good or bad. You can be influenced to do better. You can be influenced to do worse. But what is happening is you start to take on the habits of the people you're around. So if you're around millionaires, you start to take on their habits, the way they look at business, the way they operate business, the way they talk to people, the way they move, the way they travel, the way they eat. So now you start to develop those habits. If you want to go in and work out, right? You can say, I want to bulk up and be, a bodybuilder, but you don't go to the gym. So you don't have the habits of a person that does that. What does that bodybuilder do? Maybe they eat consistently. They making sure that their protein intake is a certain type of way. They making sure that they stretch when they go there. So they making sure that they intake in certain, proteins and mushrooms and compounds so that their body is correct, right? Then they may be watching shows. I've been working out, so I'm utilizing that example because I want to put my mind into, right, the habits of the person that is already successful of the goal that I want to achieve, right? Habits last longer. And the habits is what gets you to the goals that you want to complete. If a person is having anxiousness or they're in anxiety, they may have a habit of always constantly thinking about the future and never being present, not practicing mindfulness, right? Not getting enough sun in their life, not eating correctly, not talking to people who have positive impact on them, not going to places that inspire them, right? Changing their environment, their information diet. So for me, what is the habit? If you want to become smarter, you start to read more. You go in environments where people are having intelligent conversation. You go into networking events, you increase the people you know. That starts to increase the amount of money that you have. So whatever goal that you think you want, ask yourself, what are the habits that will get me to accomplishing that? If you're not the person that can produce the habit, you have to become the person that can, complete that goal. And so for me, it's anything that I want. All I have to do is create a list of habits in order to acquire that thing that I want to achieve.
Makes perfect sense. Is there anything that that took place in 2022 that was a positive thing that you think will continue doing so in 2023?
Yes. There was a lot of positive things over the last few years, but I would say just the whole culture of financial literacy. The culture of financial literacy is not disappearing. It's not going anywhere. People really want to understand finances now. People want to understand what is money. right? They want to start participating in technological shifts as they happen. They don't want to be witnesses anymore, right? They want to be a part of the game. And so I don't see that slowing down, that we're talking about wealth. We're working on building businesses. We're working on taking courses and coaches and going to networking events and learning. And so this new journey of people firing their job, or, firing a college and deciding to, I'm going to do self-education, or I'm going to develop a skill, I think is the greatest cultural revolution that we have of our time, right? Because that's the real renaissance that's happening in the mind. That is the new Black Wall Street that exists in every person, deciding them to take responsibility of their own future and building wealth. So what we're going through is deconstructionism. We're deconstructing a lot of the old ideas, and now we have to go through a period of reconstruction, right? When things are destroyed, things have to be rebuilt. And inshallah, when they're rebuilt better. And so now we're trying to rebuild what are our ideas around family, around education, around spirituality, around finance. All of this reconstruction and deconstruction has to take place in order for a new period to begin. So I'm excited to see, the growth of our people, of the culture, of society, of hip hop. This is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. I seen when Nas and 21 Savage, instead of dissing each other after 21 said something, they got on a track together. I'm excited to see more of that in hip hop, that there's less death and there's more life, right? There's less negativity and beef, and there's more collaboration and peace, right? And so I think that we're on the precipice of being 100% dissatisfied, and 100% dissatisfaction brings about 100% change. Right. And so things have to get worse before they get better. Exactly. So it's one of those things that you hate to see so many things happen, but you also know that this is closer to progress. The worse things are getting. Right. When the war gets to its absolute worst, something has to happen. We have to have peace talks, because if we go anymore, right, it's mutual destruction. So we're now going into this phase where we said we can't go any further. We went far enough. So now we're reversing that condition within ourselves. So we're seeing people eat better. We're seeing a health food shift, right? We're seeing all these different shifts, and man, I'm putting out that energy that we enter into a period of enlightenment, right? We enter into a period of renaissance and reconstruction, to where we finally do those things that all of our ancestors have, fought, marched, died, were killed for, was teaching us. We finally built that generation that is successful, that we're proud of.
That's good. Now, I know that Black people are not a monolith, but if you could give advice to just the community, I should say, the community in general, what advice would you give just the community in general?
The advice I would give on the community in general is to focus on self-love. Right? Self-love is a reflection of all love, right? We have, if I look at first, I want to talk to Black men. There's not a lot of space made for Black men. Most of the movements happen because of the negative things that happen to us, but we don't get any positive outcomes from it. Meaning that a Black man dies in the street, all of a sudden there's a huge social movement, but Black men are not a part of the outcome of those social movements and that social change. The statistics for Black men remain the same, and or they get worse, right? So in every category, statistically, except suicide, Black men have it the worst in all situations, right? From prison to crime to health to education to poverty, we have it the worst. But Big Sage, you don't see campaigns out there about making space for Black men, creating more diversity for Black men, inclusion for Black men, more capital and equity for Black men. Why? So that means that that's something that we have to do for ourselves. The mental health issues that exist in our community is terrible, right? And so without loving ourselves, we don't put that energy towards redeveloping ourselves, right? If the world is not going to give us that love, it has to come from within, which it should always come from within anyway.
Yeah.
But our people is always looking for validation outside of self. We're looking for that white institution to validate us. We want that award. We want that Oscar. We want that Grammy. We want that Tony. We want that daytime Emmy, right? And but that does not validate you, right? And then we complain about these institutions without creating our own. And when we create our own, that means we love ourselves. When I go shop with you, that means I love myself because I want to see that dollar circulate. I'm investing into my future by investing into your future, right? When I create conflict resolution with my brother instead of getting into a beef and we kill each other, I love myself. So therefore, I love my brother. So I can't kill nobody that looks like me, right? I can't scam somebody who looks like me. I can't do somebody who comes from the same background, same type of mother, father, growing up in the same conditions as me. Self-love gets us there, right? It takes the accountability into self-reparation because reparation is repairing a wrong. It's the process of repairing something. So before America can give us any reparations, we have to repair ourselves because money won't do it, right? It won't change the mental health issues. It won't change the statistics. All it will change was an influx of capital if that's the way that it's disseminated. But that love, that self-dignity, that self-respect, that self-accountability, right? That self-empowerment, that self-discipline, all that has to start to be generated from self-love.
I don't even know what to say after that, but I definitely agree. But what I want to do is because I do appreciate your time and I don't want to keep you too long, but at the same time, I want to know what is 19 Keys doing? What's in the works? What are you working on? Like what can we anticipate seeing from 19 Keys in the near and far future?
Well, there's a lot of different things, and I'm glad you asked that question. Right now, we have an app that is set to launch in like a week. And this app is our, educational app to where you can get access to our community, to our coaching, to AI, to a multitude of different things, right? And it's going to set where, the whole goal is to, if you look at what is the most important thing, it's about being a part of a community right now, right? That's more important than even, getting access to information. It's the communities that we're a part of, right? That's the foundation. And so what we're working on is creating these large communities of people who think in similar manners that are on the same sort of paths because your environment is key, right? So inside this app, being able to get this information, be a part of a solid community and have access, right? That's going to be one of those key functions that allow a person to be able to develop themselves. And also within that, it's about customizing yourself. Now, imagine if you were born and they gave you a manual on life. And this manual on life said that, okay, from the ages of 4 to 10, these are your most formidable years. This is what to do as your brain develops. And then from 10 on, you're going to go through different developmental changes mentally. Then it gives you your life path numbers. It gives you your personality type, your intelligence type. Right? It takes you through an ACEs test. It takes you through all of these psychological examinations so that you can have a profile on yourself. Right? What is your design type? Are you a manifestor or a generator? And by having this, you now get to, program yourself. You get to develop yourself. So imagine if the FBI created a file on you. They know everything about you, right? They know what ticks you, what triggers you, right? They know what brings out the most in you, right? How do you bring out your own potential and skills? So for me, one thing I teach to the students is it's all about the customization of self, knowing who you are. Right? You may think that you're not intelligent because you didn't get A's in school, but it's just that it didn't interest you in the way that they were teaching wasn't your intelligence type, right? You may be a visual learner. You may be an auditory learner, right? You may be a deductive thinker. So the way that you would show your work would be different than the way somebody else would show their work, right? You may be a convergent thinker versus divergent. Like all of these are ways to be able to actually get to know thyself. So I'm focusing this year on instead of the generalization of, education, it's the customization of education. How can I customize it towards you so you know yourself so that you can develop yourself? Not that you can get a general grade of low-level thinking, which is memorization for the most part, and technical thinking, which is doing things as is, which doesn't actually help you develop your imagination and your creative thinking, your design skills. So that application is a huge focus. And so I've been coaching week to week every year. Throughout the year, and it's been helping me become a better teacher as I develop curriculums to teach the students how to become high level thinkers. Not only that is we have a series of lectures that we're going to be doing in a lot of prominent places, right? And these lectures are markers of history during this time. You know, what we like to do is we make history. You know, I work closely with my brothers at Earn Your Leisure, and we've had the ability to go across the seas in London and pack out the Royal Albert Hall, right, which is one of the most prestigious venues, right, in all of Europe, right? 12,000 people at the Invest Fest in Atlanta, and we have another one coming up this year. We have some exciting things that I can't announce yet. I wish I could, right? But we're definitely doing some things overseas. We're going to be we're doing some things outside the country and some things inside the country. Everybody's going to be involved in, and we have some new shows that's going to come out. And I actually want to really get deeper into media because media is the most powerful outlet that we have. It shapes the mind, right? So I'm looking for new shows, people that I can help, because the way that we put together shows, we do it like movies, Sid. We don't do regular. You know what I'm saying? So because you know why? Because consciousness is boring when it's done the wrong way.
That's true.
Right? Positivity is boring when it's done the wrong way. But done the right way is cool. Done the right way is entertaining. So you have to be inspirational and educational, right? At the same time, you have to be entertaining, right? So it has to be edutainment. So, you know, there's a lot of people who put out a positive message and they're like, well, that's enough. Why ain't nobody watching it? Well, you're competing against negativity that's highly entertaining, right? So now we have to make the positivity or the education or the conscious or right, whatever it is, highly entertained. And the way you do that as well is with high quality and great production, right? The creativity on how you do it is more important than what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what we're focusing on. I got my younger brothers there in music, so we're going to be helping with them as well to add the soundtrack to the movement of the things that we're doing. We have a lot of technology applications that's coming. I plan on putting out a couple more books this year as well to go along with my thought leadership. We're working on a lot of exciting things, some great partnerships. I have a workout show that's coming where as I work out, I'm interviewing people. So we just having a quick 30-minute chat. So you get to see different sides of me as well. You know, I'm working on getting into acting. I'm trying to do it all this year, man.
I mean, at the rate you're going, I'm pretty sure you'll achieve it and probably more.
Yes. So, you know, it's going to be a beautiful year. You know, there's some things that's going to happen this year that I can't even foresee yet, you know, and that's the beauty of allowing yourself to flow with God's plans.
Exactly. One last question I just thought about. Advice for entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, what advice would you give somebody who just wants to do their own thing?
Focus on the process, not the outcome. We live in a envious society. We want what everybody else has. And social media has us comparing ourselves to everybody else, right? And what we're looking at is a lot of times we look at somebody's success, we're looking at what their gift looks like on them, right? We're looking at what their gift can do for them, right? And so you want what their gift can do for them, but you never thought about your own gift and what it can do for you. And it may look different, right? And so the process is really thinking about your environment, right? Thinking about your education, thinking about the journey of it all. And if you can fall in love with the process, right, you can be happy while doing it rather than delaying gratification for something to happen and then be happy, right? And so I don't believe in the pursuit of happiness, right? I believe being happy while pursuing, right? That is a different flow. So instead of saying that, yo, man, when I get $1 million, I'm going to be happy. No, on my journey of doing what drives me and gives me passion, which is what gives me purpose, I'm happy, right? And do it with grit. A lot of people don't have grit. They don't have perseverance. They don't have willfulness, right? They go through one little hiccup and it's over. You have to embrace You have to embrace the setbacks, the failures. You have to embrace the losses and the lessons, because what you say when you want that success, as they say, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
You're also saying you want all of that to come along with it, right? You're saying you want the failures and mistakes, because nobody has made it through the route of success perfectly. That's not the way it works. You think success looks like this, it looks like this. It's just all over. It's crazy. When I go to the gym, said, and I say, if I say I want to get stronger, I'm literally asking myself to take me through more pain, right? And on that day one, when you walk in there and you weak and you try to pick up 20-pound weight, you say, oh man, I can only do so many reps, right? But now you go in there after you recover, you come back and you realize it feels a little better this time. So now you're proud of yourself because the process is rewarding you, right? With more strength, and it's easier. Then you sore as hell, right? But
Yep.
you also feel better. So you say, you know what? I'm going to do it again. The next time you go in there, you're going to try the 30-pound, right? And what at first was making you feel weak or giving you pain is now been shifted. Now it makes you feel better, right? So now the more weight you pick up makes you feel better about yourself, because that represents the stronger you becoming, right? And in life, God only puts so much on your plate that you can handle. So there are some people who are stronger than others. That is why they have more on their plate. As an entrepreneur, you want more on your plate than others. You don't want a job, right? You saying that I want to handle as much as possible. So God go test you. Well, you say you want $1 million. Well, this is the plate of a millionaire, right? If I'm sitting with a bodybuilder, his body can metabolize things faster than my body can. So he's going to have more on his plate than I will. He's going to ask for a second plate, a third plate. When he's working out, he's on the bench, he going to be putting 2-3 plates because he's stronger. He can handle that. So what is my job? My job is to go through that same level of pain, endurance, and healing, and consistency and perseverance so that I can get as strong as this person. And then I'm going to ask God, put more on my plate, right? So as an entrepreneur, a lot of people, they want the easy route. They want the outcome. They want the flash. They want the lifestyle, right? But they don't want the process. The process is what you learn the most about yourself. It's when you know who you are. It is not easy. It is it is insane to want to be an entrepreneur when you could take the easy route, or it's insane to want a job when you are actually equipped to take the harder route.
Yeah.
Why would you stay weak when you are built to get strong? Why would you stay regular when you are built to be legendary? Why would you do one thing when you know you can do more? Why would you stay where you at when you know you can get to where you really want to be? Right? As an entrepreneur, you have to have that sort of self-talk. When it's in doubt, when you think family ain't supposed to support you, people ain't doing this, none of that matters. It's all about that self-talk up here, that perseverance and that grit. If your determination is not on point, you will lose. So what is margins? Margins is your percentage of winnings you take home every single day, right? So you want to win marginally every single day.
Every day.
Focus on getting better 1% every day. That's 365% increase per year.
Thanks. I mean, thanks. I mean, there's nothing much more that I can say or ask of, because I definitely have to live by that as well. I do appreciate your time. Thanks once again. Good luck in everything you do. And I know people say it's not luck, it's the process. And I know that you're going to do what is necessary. And I'm going to go on that same journey. And once again, I do appreciate you taking the time. Also, if there's anything else you'd like anybody to know, how to contact you, or anything that they have the chance to just, or any appearances coming up anytime soon, or anything.
There's a lot on the list right now. I have to look at it. This black everybody gets blacker in Black History Month. We all know that.
Of course.
So I'm booked up during Black History Month. You know, Black History Month, boy. It's an interesting month.
If they want to find you, they will.
I'm working on an event with Dame Dash, right?
Okay.
So me and Dame Dash is going to be doing a few things. So look out for that. If you want to contact me, you can contact me at booking19keys@gmail.com. We answer all emails that come through there. If you want to sponsor the show, you can send that through there as well. If that's for any appearances, collaborations, things of that nature that you would like to reach out to me for. If you want to get the crowns, this is one of my business. I'm also a designer. I've been in the fashion game for a long time. I used to work for Prada. I made them millions of dollars. I fired them. I started working for myself, right? So, I have some experience in the world. I don't just do things. I like to study the things. I like to, learn them, and then I like to do them, right? And so this year we're focused on making different collections, putting out shoes, glasses, right? Really, I think everybody should become their own Disney World. Disney World has everything. They got their own show, their own amusement park, their own pens, their own mugs, their own toys. Disney got everything. And so as a brand, you should focus on becoming the Disney. Create everything. If you've seen all of these businesses, all of these companies, they've branched out now, right? They don't just do one thing anymore, right? Tesla's not just doing one thing. Apple's no longer just making phones and music. They're dabbling into everything. They're making TVs and all sort of different things. So with your business, that's the last thing I want you all to think about is how can you expand? What does expansion look like for you? Right? And what would it look like if you had, and this is the way you think of that plan, if you had a financier and they give you an unlimited budget, right? And they say, I want you to think about expanding your business. But in order to have any access of any part of this budget, you first have to give me a plan for expansion. I need to know the vision. Then for that vision, I need your business plan, right? That money is actually out there for you now. I'm not talking about, the law of manifestation is amazing. The law of attraction is beautiful. It is great. The signals that we send out, but then the law of work is key. The law of planning is key, right? The law of proper planning is key. The law of visualization is key. Attraction is just one law in the universe. There's a whole constitution. And when you learn how to work in sync with those, there's nothing that you can't bring out from in your head unto reality. But if you do not plan it, if you do not see it, it will not become a reality. What we see in reality today is everything that was in somebody else's head that they brought out that we get to enjoy. I thank them for creating a laptop. I thank Sid for creating a platform, right? I thank whoever made your shirt, right? The records and the books behind you. Because if I would have never thought about it, I would have never seen it. Exactly. I would have never experienced it. So the question is, what is it in your head that you can bring out to serve the rest of the world, right? And if there's a way that I can help serve you, contact me at booking19keys@gmail.com, and then we'll lock in from there. But my brother, I appreciate you having me on your platform.
No problem. And I know we can literally go on for hours, but I know we both have things to do to manifest whatever it is that we're trying to do. So once again, thanks again. This is Big Said, 19 Keys. Keep on the lookout. And to the next time, peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Oops. And